What's going on, guys? Zuco back with another War Within video. Been making so many videos. I wanted to do something fun in this video. I wanted to make my own tree for Hunter. I just did a video on Survival Hunter talking about the Sentinel slash pack leader hero talents and how just disappointing that they have been. If you haven't seen the video yet, go check that out. You'll get the better context. But basically, both these trees are quite bad. Not just for Survival Hunter, but I think they might be okay for the other two specs. But the bottom line is these are really boring. They're really uninspired. They're not really creative. And I kind of just wanted to make my own hero talent tree and present it to you guys. And you guys can tell me what you think, okay? What I would want to do is replace Sentinel. I think that of the two of them, between Pack Leader and Sentinel, I think that Pack Leader actually has a little bit of sort of a couple things going on here. But Sentinel is really just awful. It just really brings nothing. It's like you're just spawning this owl that puts down this arcane damage. Like, it has nothing to do with being a hunter. When you think about making hero talents, I think Blizzard really has to think about like the themes of the classes that they're going for. What is thematically, when you think about a survival hunter, you've got traps, you've got like the wild poisons and explosive arrows. It used to have Black Arrow back in the day. I don't know why Black Arrow went to BM and MM, but anyway, that's just gone. You got Wildfire Bomb. Like, there's really cool themes going on there, right? When you think about a marksman hunter, you think about long range, actually having lots of control over the battlefield, lots of range, binding shot over here, freezing trap over there, and then they're just shooting you from like 25 miles away. So what I wanted to do was to come up with a brand new tree. We're going to scrap this, and I'm going to bring over this. This is a cool little program called the Talent Tree Manager. I just made up a mock tree, and I'm going to call it the Trapper Hero Talent Tree. So this is a tree that focuses entirely on trap gameplay, okay? And this is something that I think the game has needed for a long time for hunters. There used to be some really cool talents in regards to traps, even back in like Wrath and a little bit beyond that. Even in Shadowlands, we had a Nessingwary legendary that gave you focus back whenever you triggered a trap. Actually kind of cool, but like in that model back then, it didn't work very well, but something like that could work now. So let me show you my Trapper hero talent tree, and maybe Blizzard will take a look at this. Maybe they will actually pay attention, and we can maybe get some momentum to push them to really get rid of these boring talent trees that we've got right now. So here's your first node, okay? Trap Mastery. All of your traps gain an additional effect. Okay, these are just PvE traps for now, okay? So we've got Titanium Trap, which actually is going to replace Death Chakram, as well as replacing Steel Trap. I didn't write that in this note, but let me zoom in a little bit more. I'll go one more time for you guys. There we go. So Titanium Trap, Steel Trap damage increased by 50%. It generates 15 focus now. And once Steel Trap is triggered, increases all the damage that you deal to that target by 15%. Remember, Steel Trap is a 30-second cooldown. So this isn't something you're going to have up all the time, but it's a very good buff. And you're going to want to use it on a raid boss. You're going to want to use it on a boss in Mythic Plus. Like, that's the use of this, right? This is your single target trap, okay? Glacial Trap. Freezing Trap gains an additional charge, so it has 2 now. And it can sustain more damage before breaking. Okay, this is more just about control. Think about things like Incorp weeks. You could just double freezing trap the Incorps. That's pretty useful, actually, to bring to your team, to have 2 freezing traps. Maybe there's a couple different mobs in a pack that you want to freeze. I think that would be kind of cool, okay? Deterrence Trap. Your high explosive trap creates a ring of fire around the detonation point that prevents enemies from walking inside of it for 4 seconds. So this is like almost a pure defensive trap, because high explosive trap does a little bit of fire damage, but mostly it's about knocking enemies like out of sanguine, or knocking enemies away from yourself, like maybe spiteful. So think about like a spiteful week. You could put this down, knock enemies away. If you're a marksman hunter, you just stand inside this circle now and just keep shooting enemies while you have 4 seconds of invulnerability, basically, from anybody being able to get to you. So very, very cool that way. Soulfire Trap. This replaces Explosive Shot. I'm going to explain why in a second. Tar Trap now also launches a flare inside of its radius. Enemies inside burn for X amount of damage over 8 seconds. This was a Shadowlands legendary. It was called Soulforge Embers. I'm just calling it... Oh, it's actually could be... It should be Soulforge Trap. Let me just change that right now. The reason I wanted to replace Explosive Trap is because we want to watch our button bloat, right? If we add a bunch of traps into the game and make them significant, now that you're going to be throwing them out all the time, then you have to reduce button bloat by making them replace some of the buttons that you're already going to take. So we have replaced Death Chakram and we have replaced Explosive Shot. And instead you get Soul Forge Trap, which is that flare AoE damage. And then you're going to get Titanium Trap, which is going to generate about as much focus as, maybe a little bit less focus, but it's still going to generate focus just like Death Chakram did, and it's going to do single target damage. I know Death Chakram could bounce around to other enemies, but really its primary use was on single target, right? So that's why I'm doing that. You want to reduce button bloat if we're going to introduce a bunch of traps that we're going to be throwing. Let's go down the middle and then I'll go down the sides, okay? Nessingwary's Legacy. This is the callback to the Nessingwary Legendary from Shadowlands. Whenever a trap is triggered, you gain 30 focus, and you increase all focus gen by 30%. So this is a buff that you can sustain over and over again by just continuing to throw traps and continuing to get the value out of that, okay? Here's our first choice node. Tactical Retreat. Affecting an enemy with Glacial Soulforge Deterrence Trap resets the cooldown on Disengage. So again, let's say you used your disengage to get out of entangling. So an entangling came on you, you disengage to get out of it, and then a spiteful's on your ass and he's about to kill you. You throw your high explosive trap down, or in this case, deterrence trap, and it knocks him back and it resets the cooldown on your deterrence. You can, or on your disengage, you could disengage again. Okay, that's the idea there. Trapper's Agility. Every third trap that you throw increases your movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Okay? Increases your 30% movement speed for who wrote this? Who wrote this text? Who wrote that? Fire that guy. You get what I'm saying. You throw a trap, every third trap you get movement speed. The Great Hunt. Each time a trap is thrown or triggered, reduce the cooldown of True Shot Aura or Coordinated Assault by 1 second. Remember, this is MM plus Survival put together. So your major cooldown is going to get cooled down by you throwing traps. I think ideally you're going to want to bring those 2-minute cooldowns down to like 1.5, 1 minute, 20 seconds. I don't know exactly where this is going to land, but you want to reduce that if you're playing optimally. That's the idea of the Great Hunt, okay? Finally, we have Wild Tactics. Let me just go out here. There we go. Every 15 seconds, your next Mongoose Bite or aimed shot throws a Titanium Trap. That's the single target trap, okay? That's the steel trap. Every 15 seconds, your next Wildfire Bomb or multi-shot throws a Soul Forge Trap. That's the flare that does AoE damage inside your tar trap. Okay? So this is really cool now. This is where you're getting those triggered effects. Like I said up here, each time a trap is thrown or triggered, you're getting cooldown reduction on your big ability. So you're going to get even more cooldown reduction because you're getting every 15 seconds, you're getting this free trap that's going to go off on its own, which is really, really cool idea, I think. We'd have to lower the damage. You know, you can tweak all the numbers on this, right? This might sound completely overpowered. You just lower the damage that the Soul Forge trap is going to do, and then it's fine, right? If you're triggering it all the time, okay? These triggered effects do not put your traps on cooldown. So again, you're able to kind of double up, right? You throw your tar trap, it puts a Soul Forge down, then you hit multi-shot, and it puts another Soul Forge down. So now you have 2 zones that are burning the crap out of enemies. Very cool, right? And they're slowed because it's tar trap as well, which is underneath them. Very, very cool, I think. Let's go left side here. Trapper's Mark. Hunter's Mark now increases all damage an enemy receives by 6% while they're above 75% max HP. The current Hunter's Mark is 5% while they're above 80. So we're buffing this ever so slightly, and then we're giving it some quality of life. Your traps automatically apply Hunter's Mark to an enemy. Only one enemy may be marked at a time. So you can't get like a Soul Forge trap going off and putting Hunter's Mark on everything. It's not going to work. It'll just pick one person and put the Hunter's Mark on them. One enemy, okay? So you still only get one Hunter's Mark, but you get it for free now instead of having to cast it yourself manually, which is very annoying at the beginning of every fight. Here's a defensive choice node. Feign Death removes all negative status effects. I think this is something that people have been wanting for Hunter for a very, very long time, right? Bring it back. In Shadowlands, it also reduced the cooldown of Feign Death by 15 seconds. That's a bit overpowered in my mind. We're going to keep Feign Death at a 30-second cooldown, and we're going to, you just say Feign Death removes all negative status effects, including bleeding, which would be insane. Hunter's Veil. Camouflage cooldown reduced by 30 seconds, so that makes it a 30-second CD. It's a 1-minute CD right now. And can now be used in combat. If used in combat, it drops all your threat. It heals you for 4% of your max HP every second for 6 seconds. So that's 24% of your max HP. And throwing traps during camouflage does not break stealth. Okay? So on top of the slow healing that you get from camouflage, you're going to get a big heal over time. You're going to drop all your threat, and then you can actually throw traps from stealth and not be getting any threat from them. And it just might be a cool... I'm not entirely sure if this is good or not. I just kind of liked the idea of being able to use camouflage as another defensive tool in combat to get a big heal. And then you can also throw your traps out. You know, I don't know. Maybe you could drop threat from a Spiteful. I don't know how that would work, but, you know, this is a cool idea, I think. Trapper's Workshop. Reduce the cooldown of all traps by 5 seconds. Very simple. This is going to give you much more uptime, actually, on the traps. A lot of these traps are like 30 seconds or lower, so taking off 5 seconds is actually more significant than you might think. That's like a 15% cooldown reduction on a lot of your traps. Let's go right side. One with Nature. Triggering traps grants you secondary stats. Titanium Trap, that's Steel Trap, gives you 5% haste. Soulforge Trap, that's Tar Trap, gives you 5% crit. Glacial Trap is Freezing Trap, that gives you 5% mastery. Deterrence Trap is your high explosive trap, that's going to give you 5% verse. During True Shot Coordinated Assault, you gain all these stat bonuses just for free. Okay, so getting these stat bonuses, like from a Freezing Trap, for example, you're not just going to want to throw Freezing Trap to get the mastery. Like, that's kind of cringe, and that might be the gameplay that people would have to like subscribe to. I don't know, hopefully that wouldn't be the case, but the point is, during your big cooldown, you get all these stats anyway, so you don't have to like try to game it by throwing out traps. You just pop your cooldown and boom, you've got all these stats. Okay. Hunter's Gift. Enemies affected by Binding Shot are marked with Hunter's Gift. Allies who hit marked enemies gain 20% leech until Binding Shot ends. So you're a marksman hunter, you throw out Binding Shot, and then immediately those enemies are all marked, even before the second part of the Binding Shot triggers, and then all of your allies have 20% leech for like 5, 6, 7 seconds. It's quite a long time, right? That Binding Shot's up. That's an insanely cool piece of like utility you can give to your team as a hunter. I kind of love this idea. Maybe 20% is too high, make it 10%. I don't care. You can tweak that number, but you can see the idea there, right? Mudslide. Enemies inside of Soulforge Trap, which is your Tar Trap, have a 20% chance to miss their auto attacks. I think this is a PvP talent right now for Tar Trap. It's something like that, but you get the idea. We throw in something like that. More utility that you can bring to your tank, especially. Imagine if your tank pulls 15 mobs together that are all really like dangerous auto attack wise. You can put down your Tar Trap, and then you can like, not only are you slowing them all and you're burning them all, but now they have a 20% chance to miss the tank. That's a really big deal, actually, to support your tank. Scorched Earth, Fury of the Eagle, and Volley automatically launch a Soulforge Trap at your enemies. Okay, so again, we have traps triggering from Mongoose Bite Aim Shot. We have traps triggering from Wildfire Bomb Multi-Shot. And then we have traps triggering from a cooldown. A 45-second cooldown is Fury of the Eagle. And then I think a 45-second or a 40-second cooldown is Volley. So it's similar, right, in terms of the power there. I know Fury of the Eagle, you can kind of cool it down and make it a little better. So maybe that's something you're going to want to do. That's my tree, guys. That's the Trapper hero talent. It's for marksman and survival. I think this is something that like Blizzard could easily do. There's a lot of numbers here that you could tweak to make it balanced. It might be completely overpowered in PvP. I'm not really worried about PvP, so maybe that's a problem, and they have to balance stuff around PvP. But do you see what I'm getting at here? Do you see how cool it would be to be a Trapper hunter, rather than just whatever the arcane, you know, owl shooting arcane stuff out of the... It's so stupid what they have now. It really bugs me. And I just would love to have something like this. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let's try and get this in front of Blizzard if we can. Try and maybe share this with your friends if you want to. Try and get as much traction on this video. Maybe they'll see it and they'll have a change of heart. It's early in the alpha. They might actually change their mind on what they're doing with the hunter trees, because a lot of people are disappointed in what we're seeing so far. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one.